Which card is calling to you? Card 1, card 2, card 3, card 4. Hello and welcome to another intuitive reading. I'm Belle from Autumn Crone. So I have headphones in today because it is school holiday time here and we do have one child at the moment home, and so they may come in or a bit of background noise or anything like that. So I thought I'd pop these in to hopefully keep any other noise out, and one being our little dog out the back door who cries a lot at the back door, not because it sounds really like terrible the way he cries and it sounds like we're being terrible and won't let him in, but when we let him in he cries at the back door to go out because he wants us to throw his ball for him. So he's very loves his ball time, so hopefully you can't hear him. So, and the other thing is he does wee inside, so we don't like leaving him in unless we're out there and all that sort of stuff. So, but he has a jacket and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, welcome to Intuitive Readings. I've been doing readings for a couple of decades now. It's taken a long time to get confidence, but you know, it's always been good and fun. And I guess now at an age and in that perimenopause phase where you don't give a fuck anymore as much, so it's really cool just to really step more into stuff and let go of that self-confidence and or lack of self-confidence, I should say. So with these readings, there's 4 cards. It's up to you which one you choose. You may choose one, you may choose 2, you may feel called to all of them. Whatever your intuition is saying to you is always right. Always listen to your intuition over anybody else's. So further ado, let's get started. Welcome to card 1. So I haven't flipped these over and I do have the deck of cards with me so we can pull more if need to. So card 1. Oh, this came out last week. Soul loss. I'll leave it there so you can see it a bit longer. So what are you being called to let go of? What are you holding on to that isn't serving you any good anymore? So I'm feeling like this is time to really let go of things, and I can feel like that there's a bit of a tug of war inside, sort of going, I want to let it go, but I'm not quite ready to, I don't know. And because you've been holding on to it for so long, it is definitely time to let it go. However, because you've been holding on to it for so long, it kind of feels like the unknown can be scary, and us humans struggle with change, even though it's guaranteed and we need it to grow and evolve. But sometimes we hold on, I think it's even in a subconscious level, we hold on to things that aren't necessarily good for us, but we know no differently. And it's kind of scary, well, what would life be like without this? Do you know what I mean? So really sitting down, I feel like this is a deep ponder. It's really letting go. There seems like there's a big shift. And you know, this isn't a quick fix or anything like that. This is something to take your time with, something to really ponder. And I feel like sitting down with some pen and paper and writing down all the things that are coming up for you, all the thoughts. Nothing is silly. You know, it's about honoring you and your feelings, right? Our feelings and emotions are so powerful. It's amazing, and yet we're really taught from a very young age, our emotional intelligence is really stunted. You know, good girls don't get angry, boys don't cry, and, you know, we use our logical brain, and, you know, women, it's really, you know, it's really put down that we're emotional and fragile and all this horse poo stuff. So, you know, it's not, our emotions are really powerful. So this is really, I feel like this is going to have some emotional catharticness to it. So even though it's stuff that's coming up and it feels really yuck and you're like, how's this supposed to be helping me? Because all this stuff is residing in you and energetically in you. Because what happens is we use 5% of our brain, which is a conscious, and then there's a 95% that is subconscious. So it's all the stuff that we think that we've forgotten, stuff that we have forgotten, but our subconscious remembers, and it plays out constantly in the background. So you may, if you're not aware, but there will be common themes in your life that keep playing out. You know, why do people keep showing up? And, or, you know, it might be different people, but certain themes like people that lie or dishonest or I don't know, I can't think of right now, but things always play out in the background, especially from stuff from our childhood. If we haven't worked through it, then there's stuff that's going to be playing out. So, this is stuff that's coming up. So what are some of those past stuff from childhood that are playing out in today, in everyday way? So, for example, a good one is you might be having a argument or passionate conversation with your partner, and then you're trying to work out, where did this really come from, and in our arguments and stuff, we always think logically and in our head, when really it's about talking about how we're feeling, what's really going on underneath, what are those emotions saying to you. That's where your core is. That's where you're going to find the answers and that. So, in those arguments, what's at face value, like what's presented in this present moment, isn't really necessarily, because there's always exceptions to the rules, what's really playing out. It could be something that from childhood, let's say you got told off by a parent and, it was really bad and you got really upset. It doesn't even have to be bad. If you're really upset, it's had a bit of a impact on your psyche, then it's going to be there playing out in the background unless it's been worked through and that emotion's been felt and all that kind of stuff. So what are some themes in your life that are playing out, and when it's really time to let them go? It's really causing some tension and unnecessary tension. And I say unnecessary because this can be worked through, this can be healed, this can be let go of in order for you to make room for the new. Yes, it is scary. Yes, it is unknown, but it is so worth it. We tend to hold on to so much stuff more than what is necessary, and it really bogs us down. It really tires our energy. It also then affects our physical body, our health and all that kind of stuff. So it really cascades out. And if you look at the society today, like mental health is on the rise, and it's growing. These things were put in place in to make life easier, but it's not. So, and I really feel like emotional intelligence is really lacking in, I want to say teaching, but just in general, like not even from a school point of view, but even just as a human point of view, we're not taught how to tune into and embrace our emotions and to really work with them. And, I don't believe in the whole positive, negative, good, bad emotions. For me, it's about, if you want to look at the positive or the emotions like love, happiness, joy, all those kind of things, they're really light. If you notice in your body how they feel, your body feels really light and really just really more flexible, more energy, more free flowing, right? And then when you look at heavy emotions like anger, hurts, pains, disgust and all that sort of stuff, they're like, ugh, like they're really heavy and icky. And the thing is, they're not good or bad, they just are. It's just part of being human. It's just part of having these emotions. And these emotions are like communicating to us, like I was trying to explain to Dave and one of our kids, that you look at the emotion disgust, like when you feel disgusted with something, it's like a real ugh, disgusting, dirty, yucky, icky, all that kind of stuff. However, it is an important emotion to have. For example, if you had food in the fridge, say it's been left there for a couple of months, you forgot it was up the back, so it's grown some really funky furry friends, and you pull that out and go to eat it, and you go, now with that human emotion of disgust, if you have it, you're going to go, oh my god, that is disgusting, I'm not even going to keep the plate, I'm throwing that whole bowl out, that is so gross, I am not going to eat that, right? So disgust is letting you know, hey, that's not probably a good thing to eat, let's not eat that. If you don't have that disgust there, then you're going to eat that and go, oh, I'm going to, and probably end up very sick from it, right? You'll end up with food poisoning, salmonella, and all that kind of stuff. So, and eating that much bad bacteria and germs is going to overload your immune system, and you're going to get very, very sick, right? So that disgust didn't feel nice. However, it could have saved your life or potentially saved you from getting really sick. So, it's all emotions are important. They're just different types of communication skills. When you're looking at that food that's moldy and yuck, you're not going to sit there and go, oh, wow, that looks great and delicious. No, it's not. It's really bad for you. and can potentially make you exceptionally very sick or die. So, disgust has an important role there for you. So all emotions are important, and unfortunately we're not a society that really is taught how to work through our emotions. So really looking at finding ways to more embrace your emotions, to feel your emotions. I'll just put the card back up so you can feel your emotions, and also to look at what's letting go of. What hurt and pain are you holding on to that is having that effect on you in today's life? So for example, if there's some abuse from childhood and that, it's really important to really work through that, look at that, seek help if you need to. Like, there is no shame in it. You don't suffer alone. Because those things that are there, like I was saying about that 95% playing out in the subconscious, those hurt and pains are constantly played out. And I know with my own abuse that I suffered, that it takes and taken a long time to heal, and just healing deeper on so many levels. It's been decades and it's still healing a little bit deeper. But each time I do, it's never nice doing it. It's a bit icky doing that shadow work. But then when I get to the other side and I can release that bit that's come up, oh my gosh, it feels so good. It feels so amazing. And you just feel lighter in your energy. Do you know what I mean? Because I've taken something out of the subconscious, brought it into the conscious. So taken it out of the dark, brought it into the present, brought it into the light, to be able to look at it and go, what can I do with this? How can I learn from this? What can I gain from this? Really, I'm not taking it. I'm not bringing it up to, I'm just bringing it up to visit that stuff that's come up. I'm not bringing it up to live back in it. You've already lived, those trauma days, those pain days and all that sort of stuff. You're a survivor. You've survived all this sort of stuff. So we're just going back to visit, to look at what we can gain and learn from and let it go. Like, I know from my abuse in my 20s, early 20s, I was like, oh, you know what, I don't want to keep holding on to this hurt and abuse. So then it affects me long term, and affects my children. I didn't have children at that stage, but I just didn't want to have that generational stuff keep going on, and subconsciously it affecting the way I parented my kids and all that sort of stuff. So looking at those things, what's in the past there, it's time to let go of. And what are and I'm feeling the other message here too is, what are your emotions saying to you? So each day just stop and go, what am I feeling? Oh, what's coming up? Why do I feel this way? It's not the inner critic work. It's, from kindness, love and compassion, and just being curious with yourself. Getting to know yourself a bit more. It's so important during this phase to find out what's going on underneath and what's going on. How do I feel? How are my emotions powerful? I always think with the patriarchal world over the centuries, every part of our womanhood is been tarnished, and that's said it so nicely. We've been abused, we were property, we've come so far, yet there's so far to go. But it's interesting, especially with the patriarchal world. And when I say patriarchal world, it's men, women, it's not masculine, feminine kind of thing. There's a lot of men that are all for the equality and God and goddesses, not just one. So, with the patriarchy over the centuries, they sort of put down, our intuition. We're witches. We got, there was a lot of trauma there. And abuse. What else was it? Our periods, how dirty and disgusting they are. Some churches and beliefs, women aren't allowed into the church if they're on their period or anything like that. So everything that the church has said about women and put us down and all that sort of stuff makes me really think, okay, there must be power to this. So they've put it down, there's something about it. Put on that story, that narrative, and the more we uncover and go, hang on a minute, there is power to our intuition, there is power to our menstrual cycle. You know what? There's also power to our emotions. How many times do you see movies and just growing up, oh, she's so emotional, like it's a bad thing. No, you can't be emotional. Makes me wonder what, there's so much power to our emotions, and it can really set free a lot of heavy stuff. You know what I mean? So I feel like I can go on longer for this one. So, but I'm not feeling for another card. This one is pretty heavy on its own and a lot there, but there is power into your emotions. Look up emotional intelligence and start just looking away at that. There's a lot of power into your emotions. Your emotions are powerful, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. It's learning to embrace our emotions and allowing them to work for us rather than against us. So that is card 1. So thank you. Hello and welcome to card 2. So let's see what card 2 has to reveal for us. Spirit of the East. I think this came out last one too, these cards. And they were shuffled, they've been used in between. So if you were drawn to card 2, so what is your intuition telling you? What's coming up for you? Especially through perimenopause phase, I'm finding, it's a time our intuition really opens up. Like, yes, it opens up beforehand, especially if we're doing a lot of work and conscious work to open up our intuition and tune into it more. But through perimenopause, it seems to really, really open up. There's that, by the time we get to perimenopause, we've got to experience many of life's roller coaster rides. It's ups, it's downs, it's turns, it's rounds, and it's holy F's times, and it's really good, happy times, and blissful times. And we've had love, we've had sorrow, we've had loss, we've been hurt, been shat on, we've done some shitting on, we've had a real vast variety of experiences in our life. So now it's time to sort of start looking at that and stop. I don't want to say stop. It's up to you what you do. Maybe, you could choose to start looking and reflecting back on life, going, okay, so what have I learned? What have I gained? Rather than sort of focusing, and there is that part of focusing on and letting go of and having that grief of what didn't transpire, like as we're in our maiden and growing up in our teenage years, we're like, oh, I want to do this with my life, I want to do that with life, we have all these big dreams, goals and aspirations, and but it comes with that inexperience of what life is about with those goals and dreams. Some of those things are big and thing, or but then life has other ideas for us as well. It takes us on places at times we need to go, not necessarily we want to go. So this is a time to really reflect on your life. So letting go of what could no longer be, but what did you gain along the way? What did you learn along the way? And really tapping into the gains of life and the gains of experience in the way of, and I'm not talking about monetary, I'm talking about experience, things money can't buy. What have you learned from them? What have you gained from them? How have they allowed you to be the amazing person you are today? How have they shaped you? Because those experiences, big or small, shape us whether we like to think about it or not. So whether you think consciously or subconsciously, it affects you one way or the other. So I'm just really feeling that this is really about intuition, really connecting with your intuition and just sort of stopping and becoming present in the moment and just sort of trying to shake off all the daily stress and the grind and all that kind of stuff and just find a bit of quietness in the all the noise. Do you know what I mean? Trying to find a bit of calmness in the storm and all that sort of stuff. So whether it's, even learning to try and meditate for 5 minutes at a time or 2 minutes at a time, or journal writing or getting out in nature or, moving your body. But with moving your body through perimenopause, it's not so much the cardio. Cardio is not the best type of exercise for perimenopause because we start losing muscle mass and all that sort of stuff. So things like cardio where you're really getting your heart racing can actually put more stress on your body, and you may find that you end up putting more weight on than losing it and all that kind of stuff. However, things like weight resistant, weight training, I'm not talking about bodybuilding, that's totally different. I'm just talking about a bit of weight where you can tone your body up. People don't even need to know you're doing muscles, but what happens is you're building muscle up to help support your bone structure, which helps decrease the things, so osteoporosis, falling, broken bones, and falls are quite common in the elderly, and normally in my experience as a nurse in aged care nursing, once they have a fall, especially a broken hip, going home is generally not what happens. It's either not at all or to nursing home. So taking care of ourselves is really important, and I feel that's why we need to know more about perimenopause so we can make these choices before, and lifestyle choices and decisions. Even if you don't want to do the weight training and all that sort of stuff, at least it's a choice you've made, you know what I mean? Rather than find out too late down the track. It's never too late, but the sooner you do it, the better. I'm not sure how I got onto that. All this talking make me thirsty. How cool are these cups? So Michelle from Botanical Cottage on Instagram has some, although she's moving at the moment, so she's a bit preoccupied, but does some amazing homeware, home stuff and all that sort of stuff. So we're very privileged to get some of that stuff. So yes, I really do like that cup. So it's very special. So anyway, and that's it. It's finding things that are special and making them, they can be simple, like that coffee. That's a tea, actually. I have rooibos tea in there. Finding things that, making them just a little bit more special. If you have that special tea cup or whatever, use it. Just have that bit of quiet time. Make yourself a tea or a coffee or whatever floats your boat. But I feel like for card 2, it's really connecting with your intuition and really just sort of taking notice how far you have grown. And I feel like this is about taking some time and sort of going and patting yourself on the back and just sort of just evaluating and going, oh wow, yeah, there's a lot of things I didn't do, but however, look at what I have done, look how far I have achieved. And yes, I may not have planned it that way, but that's how it turned out, and look what I gained from it. It put me onto this person, or it put me onto that person, or to that job, or that partner, or that friend, or that career, or what is it? There's a lot there. You've grown and learned so much, and it's time in this perimenopause to let go of those things, which was very interesting in the first card, soul loss, about letting go of all this sort of stuff. But it's also about embracing what you have learned, what you have gained, and actually, and especially I feel like I need to make it a strong point, because I was going to say it and I forgot, is you can look back on things and go, oh shit, I really effed up there. Like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, if I could go back to myself then, I'd probably give her I'd go, what girl are you thinking? That is crazy. Like, what the hell? We all have chapters and parts of our lives that we wish would just disappear. They'd seal together and just vanish and didn't happen or whatever. But unfortunately, that's not how life rolls. So, it's sort of going, okay, so if that situation was to come up again, what would I do differently and how would I do it differently? And from there, you can go, well, I would do this, this, and this differently. Like, I hope that situation never comes up again, but you can say, oh, I've learned this and this from this situation. Therefore, you've learned something, you've gained. Well done. That's the whole point of it. It's not about sitting there and beating ourselves up. And hindsight is a double-edged sword. It's good if you're going to use it for this, what did I learn from it? What could I gain from it? What would I do differently? What has this taught me and all that sort of stuff. So you're sort of looking at it from that aspect. But if you're looking at it and going, oh, I was a really bad person, I shouldn't have done that. What was wrong with me? Like, what was I thinking? Like, when you start doing that, you're getting, that's heading down, that's going back to stay. That's not what we're doing. We're going back to visit. Right, so if you've got that heavy stuff going on, I think it would be good to reach out to speak to somebody, talk to your GP, talk to a professional to find somewhere where you can work through that stuff, because this is what I'm talking about, that heavy stuff carrying through and all that sort of stuff. And all the things through perimenopause, because our metabolism's all slowing down, all those little things that we used to do and those little habits and stuff catch up with us. Our body goes, I've had enough now, we're slowing down, you know what? You need to do some of the work too. I can't keep compensating for those things that aren't really doing you any good. So, Spirit of the East. So this was really big about your intuition and really, looking at what you have learned, what you've gained. You've come so far, further than what you think, and you're way stronger than you give yourself credit for. And this is what this is going back. This is self going back to reflect in a place of love and how much you have how far you have come, how far you have grown. Look at it from that. What does that bring up for you? What does that How does that help? All right, let us know down in the comments, what came up for you, if this resonated or not. And, feel free to share or tag someone in that you feel that may benefit from these readings as well. All right, bye. Hello and welcome, or welcome back if you're staying for all the cards. So let's get into card 3. What does card 3 got to say? Forest bathing. Very interesting. So definitely getting out in nature if you've called to this card. I feel like there's things brewing in the background. You've got some things brewing or some dreams or ideas, but there's also that feeling of, no, I can't do that. I'm not good enough to do that. Who the hell am I to do that? A lot of being hard on yourself, being really down on yourself. So this card is sort of asking you to sort of step outside of that, and especially nature. So like when we're around nature and trees and all that sort of stuff, the oxygen is really dense. It's really, I don't want to say pure, but it's very dense. It's really good oxygen because there's so many trees there. Compared to, say, if you're in the desert, or if you're in a city and all that, you notice there's not as many trees and nature and all that sort of stuff. There's high-rise buildings, and the air can be quite thick and a bit polluted, smog, pardon me, in the area and all that kind of stuff. So when you go out in nature, so you're going to get more oxygen, you're going to breathe a bit deeper, you're going to get a bit more clarity is going to come with you and all that sort of stuff. And these ideas, I don't want to let them go. See the eggs in her hair? They're like, you've got these ideas of things brimming, just bubbling away in the background. But again, I'm just feeling that bit of heaviness in my heart of not feeling good enough, and I totally get that, and it can be a challenge to step through all those things that over the lifetime we've accumulated, and with the parts that we tell the stories where we aren't good enough, we then find evidence in our daily life or in our past and go and see, I can't do that because I'm not good enough or anything like that. What this one is saying, this card is saying, you know what, take those baby steps, get a book out, journal, journal these feelings, move through it, and another thing, getting goosebumps, another thing I'm getting is with the belief of, or any belief really, we're conditioned so much as children from society, our parents, schooling and all that kind of stuff, that really when we think that we're not good enough, that one just keeps coming up. I can't get past that one on this card. The feelings of not good enough, really, where do they come from? Are they truly yours? Are they your truly belief? Do they come from your own belief? Or is it stuff that you've been told growing up? Like I know being told by step parent, about my report and things like that. There's a few things there that happened in my childhood that sort of go, they were hurt at the time, but then there was a couple of little things that sort of all add up to that not feeling good enough, and who the hell do I think, that imposter syndrome and all that kind of stuff. I'm getting hot here now. Whew. And it is winter here. Gotta love those hot flushes. Not feeling good enough. Go back into your past and journal. Just see where did it come from, what incident, what experience, and all that sort of stuff. Because if it's come from, say, a parent or a teacher saying, oh, you can't do that, that's silly, right? And they tell you enough times that, you end up believing it. That's what happens when we're told something often enough. We tend to believe it, whether it's true or not. It becomes our story. So when we're told enough, we believe it. But so what I'm saying here is that's not your belief. If your beliefs come from a parent or a teacher or, a caregiver of some sort, from telling you that you're not good enough, or, like I wanted to write books and that, and I, had a step parent that wasn't quite, made fun of me and put me down and whatever. No wonder I'm having so many troubles writing a book now, hey? But anyway, I'm aware of that, and I can work through that, and I can go, you know what? That was her belief. That came from her stuff, whatever her stuff is. And I know there's trauma there too. But either way, I'm not taking that on anymore. And I am working on a couple of books at the minute. So one, I was doing a guidebook to put out, but then I'm like, oh, that's jumping right in. So now I'm creating, and that will go into the ACM, the Autumn Crow membership. But I'm now making a ebook on, what is perimenopause. I'm even sharing some of my journal. I have been journaling on my phone over the last couple of years of different parts, like gaps and that, but different parts of my perimenopause journey, trying to capture those moments. And it's interesting, you can see like it's like a freaking crazy roller. Yeah, feeling good this day, not feeling crap this day, and it's kind of like all over the spot. So anyway, where was I going with that? Because I got sidetracked very easily. So go back into your past. What is it in your past, where you were told that you weren't good enough, and go, all right, if that's theirs, give it back. What do I feel about myself? How do I feel? Do you know what I mean? And really getting in touch and learning how you feel about you is a journey and a process, because a lot of our stuff is based on, hang on a minute, yes? Can you just wait until I've done this, please? Okay, thank you. School holidays, people. Yeah, so really looking at, are they those beliefs of you, from you, or are they from someone else? I just want some paper. All right. Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. So, yeah, finding out what beliefs of you are yours. Do you know what I mean? And then when we can find out where that not good enough came from, then we can make changes and shifts and all that sort of stuff. So then those dreams and things that you want to do in the background, whether it's just being creative, whether it's a sideline hobby, or if it's want to create your own business or some sort of groups or something like that, get an ideas book, start writing your ideas down. You might want to start talking to other people, or maybe journaling or meditating. How can I grow this? What can I do? Or it might maybe finding people in your local community, or if it's online, in the online community. Find out little steps that you can do to make this happen and to achieve this. Like it's doable, but it can't. The big, and it keeps coming back to this, the big chunk of it all is not feeling good enough, and really working on where does that stem from. Because I have a very strong feeling that, but it's for you to become aware of, is that that good enough feeling comes from something or some things from your childhood, and not your what's the word, organic belief. It's not organic, it's not yours, it's come from somebody else that we've taken on. Do you know what I mean? And especially as kids, especially some of our caregivers, and we look up to them and all that sort of stuff. So when they say stuff like that, we kind of take it on board as well. So this is about really clearing that out, and then really looking into those things you want to do, those ideas that really light you up. They may sound silly, and it doesn't matter if they do. What's wrong with being silly? Like Dave and I be silly all the time. Like we carry on like children and let our inner kids out and laugh and giggle at farts and all those kind of things. And we laugh. Laugh is really good. Laughter is good medicine, so it's about just letting go. Okay, so that was a good one, but a big one. So yeah, lots of stuff going on, but really nurture those eggs and write down your ideas in a book. They don't have to make sense now. I find I have idea books, and over time when I'm sort of stuck for ideas or anything like that, I'll look at it and go, oh, that's a really cool idea. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can work with that now. And I'm like, no, that needs a bit more fermenting, or, those ideas books. And some of them I'm like, wow, they're pretty good. Where did they come from? It's in my writing. But, they can help for later on. But just chip away, writing about it and talking about it, slowly build up at it. Do you know what I mean? We can have these big dreams and how they look at the end, and it can seem kind of impossible and so far away. However, just taking those tiny baby steps, you'll get there. So really nurture them. It's really needed. But I feel like really that good enough and getting out of your own head and getting out of your own way is what's going to make a difference there. So I hope that helped. Thank you. And if you feel like, if you want to let me know if this resonated or what came up for you down below, please do. You can comment on our YouTube, or you can go onto our website. I always post these onto our website as well as a blog, or on one of the other social medias. Let us know. And if you feel like this reading could benefit somebody else, please do share, because that's what it's there for. Have a magical day. Bye. Hello and welcome to card 4. So let's flip her over and see what we got. Spirit of the South. These are very similar cards to last week's. It's kind of interesting, but they've all come out very different. So, you know, in the witchy world, each direction, so east, north, south, west, normally corresponds with an element: earth, fire, water, air, and spirit. But everyone's different on how they do it. So this one, and depending on where you are in the world, even just depends on your own experiences. So I'm on the east coast of Australia, so for me, south is actually air. Just a little bit of things. So that goes down to, so just because things can be mainstream or anything like that, follow your own spirit, follow your own fire. You know, what is that saying to you? Just because society says no, or we can't, or we shouldn't, there's so many like shouldn'ts on women, like especially getting older, letting our grey hairs come through. You know, there's that whole you look old, and you know, especially when we get into that crone phase, and or you know, that perimenopause phase, that autumn crone, before cronehood, postmenopause, you know, you notice a difference in society. Like society really puts a lot of emphasis on women in the maiden, the really young women, and the mother phase as well. But when we start getting to this phase, we start getting cast aside and not looked upon as much. And you know, there is that whole really like, and it's strong in our history too. You look at all our Walt Disney movies that we watched. You know, the young damsel in distress and saved by the prince, and you know, and then there's the old woman, the hag, who wants to steal the beauty, and you know, she's horrible and nasty and just vile, and you know, and if you look at a lot of our Disney movies or our children movies, that is a common theme. That is just different damsel in distress. Like we are starting to see now more like, you know, like your Frozen, where it was her sister, and you know, there's a couple of Braves, another one where it was her and her mum. Getting goosebumps on that one. You know, there is a bit of a change happening, but what we grew up with and how we were conditioned by society is that getting old is yuck. You know, you see on social media, oh look, you know, look how she's aging gracefully, beautifully. Oh look at her 20 years ago to now. Doesn't she look? Oh, she's aging backwards, and no, we're not meant to. Like, and then we pick on people, you know, like Madonna, who goes the other extreme, right? And is full of Botox and facelifts and whatever else she does. There's a lot of those, and society picks on them, or you know, like it's just no pleasing society. It's not until us women stand up and go, fuck you, right? This is how I am. This is how I want to present. When we stop with the conditioning of society of this is how society wants me to be, right? And you know, generally that goes against our own internal of how we want to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, this is how society wants us to be, so therefore I need to dye my hair, get the fake eyelashes, lose a shitload of weight and all that kind of stuff, right? Not interested. You know what I mean? And I think that's why the crone is shunned in society. Again, I was talking about patriarchal in one of the other cards, maybe the second card, I can't remember. There's normally a theme in these cards, like a bit of a pattern. So sometimes watching them all can be beneficial, or if you just got one. So, oh, that's really cool, honey. Oh, very cool. Okay, yeah, just take the lot. There you go. Just, yep. School holidays, that's why I got headphones in and noises and all that sort of stuff. So, where was I? Oh, yes. Get me started on the patriarchal world, and that'll be it. You know, it's one of the things I feel, here's my little theory, you know, share yours. With the patriarchal world, it'll put really, and it's not just a man-women thing, it's just the patriarchal world. There's a lot of women in patriarchal world, and there's a lot of men that aren't for it at all. So, you know, it's not a male-female thing. It's just whatever. It's more of a church thing, I think. Patriarchal world. So a lot of them have, well, with the patriarchal, they've put women down. You know, periods are dirty and disgusting. Our intuition, being emotional, and all that sort of stuff. And then it's like when we get to cronehood, menopause and that we're outcasted and we want to steal the youth and beauty and all that kind of stuff. To be honest though, where I'm at in perimenopause, I couldn't think of anything worse going back to my younger years. Yes, I would love to go back and have a bit more energy and probably a bit more of that. Body didn't ache as much as what it does now, that's for sure. So yes, I would probably like some of that. But that whole part of my lack of experience, my immaturity, my loudmouth opinions and all that sort of stuff, like I'm grateful for that aspect of me, but I don't want to go back and be that. I really love getting older. I love, and especially experiencing death personally, in so many ways, and even professionally as a nurse, you know, in the elderly, suicide watches and all that sort of stuff. I've had a very vast experience with death. So coming to now, like I've always goosebumps and chills, like the not chills but goosebumps that keep coming. You know, getting old is a privilege. It's a privilege that so many people don't get. And the things that I'm loving and learning to embrace is I love that I don't give a fuck attitude anymore. That comes and goes. It, you know, it's quite a hormonal ride in perimenopause, but that I like don't give a fuck what other people think anymore. I just don't have the energy for it. And you know, even I'm going through this thing of like, oh, I'm not a fashion person and I don't like to be in fashion. I like to go in fashion, catch on to fashion things when they're going out of fashion, and then everyone's over it. But even now I'm like, how do I want to dress? You know, I'm like really, because my body's changing. I'm also having endometriosis, so you know, I've always had a bit of a tummy, but now I know a lot of it's endo belly, so a lot of that swollen, you know, it's kind of interesting. It's a terrible disease that makes so many women infertile and fertility issues that, you know, but when it flares up, it makes you look pregnant. It's really, it's not nice. But yes, so it's like, okay, I don't want to fit in and look good anymore. I want to look good in a way that allows me to feel comfortable in my body, you know, like fuck wearing high heel shoes anymore. And every now and then I may want to, but I wear it because I want to wear it because it feels good. So losing that kind of attitude as you get to cronehood. I think part of the reason why cronehood is, you know, we saw all the hags in the movies and all that sort of stuff, is because there's a lot of power there. We get over the whole like, fuck you, I don't care anymore. We get a bit more stronger in our boundaries. Our boundaries are a lot more solid and we take less shit. So you can see why the patriarchal world don't really like crone women, because they're like, no, they're going to call you out on that. No, I don't have enough time and energy for that shit. Fuck that. You know, so there is a lot of that. I don't know where I'm going with this card. Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, things to embrace with cronehood and all that kind of stuff. So I think this, sometimes the cards come out, and I haven't had one like this where I'm like, I'm coming with this message, but I'm not sure how it's, I can try to BS through it, but I'm going to be honest. It's just a message. It happens rarely. Sometimes I'll pull a card, and especially when I do card readings for people and I pull them out a card, I'm like, I'm getting all this information, but there's nothing to do with this card. So it kind of feels like that. So, so we were talking about the power of being a crone. Let's go back to that. So the power of being back to the crone is, so, you know, society, the patriarchal world really has really put down aging to the point where a lot of women are scared, or they're fearful of it. And, you know, there's so much beauty in age. If women stopped worrying about what society said and started embracing it more, I don't think it'd be such an issue. And that's where it needs to stop. Us women need to stop believing in that shit, that, you know, there is beauty getting older. There's a lot of wisdom getting older, and it can help a lot of other people by sharing their wisdom, sharing their knowledge. Can make a huge difference. But we're really caught, the Western society especially is really cut off from the elders, and how important the elders are and what vital role they have. Like I remember when in nursing, especially when I started over 20 years ago now, I did mine as a traineeship. And, you know, these elderly people, you know, the stories they have, and then their children, I was dementia trained, so it was a little bit different, but it was interesting having the family members come in and talk about their family, talk about their parent, and, you know, they love to dance, they love to cook, or, you know, they love to do this and that, and they have such rich, beautiful histories, and it's just the wealth of knowledge. Back in that time, people had gone through depressions, world wars, and had a fair few residents that were from concentration camps and all that sort of stuff. So we put elderly people down so quickly, and it's definitely not in the Western world. There's definitely not enough respect in the way they're cared for. Especially, I can attest to that in aged care. It's disgusting. The lack of money and staffing that goes into caring for our aged care. Anyway, that's another debate. So, wow, what was the message for this card? It sort of feels like all over the shop. So really, what it feels like, it's coming back to that crone energy. How do you feel getting old? What are your fears? Why are there fears there? Where do those fears come from? So really, are those fears yours? Is getting old, like, what is it about old what fear is there? What thoughts are there? What feelings are there? And then where do they come from? Are they truly yours? Is getting old such a, because society says it is? Do you know what I mean? We get cast out aside and all that sort of stuff. So, it's like, where are you with getting old? How do you feel about getting old? What makes someone old to you? Really pull apart that oldness. So when I say to you, when you get that post-menopause, if your periods are stopped, you're in cronehood. What does crone mean to you? How do you feel about cronehood? Why I feel and why we're so passionate about this autumn crone work is do the work, clear the shit out, embrace the good stuff, because you know what? Once you hit cronehood, post-menopause, that is it until the rest of your life. You could be in cronehood, it might be 1 or 2 years, it could be 20 years, it could be 30 years, it could be 40 years. Your cronehood could be the main part of your life. So how do you want to live that? By doing this phase through the autumn crone, it's about clearing all that stuff out, what no longer serves you, bringing to the surface what does, what you've learnt, what you've gained, how far you have evolved and all that sort of stuff, and then using it. And then that cronehood is about you and how do you want to live that part of your life. Do you want the subconscious bullshit, shit and hurts and pains playing out in your subconscious, and that 95% of our subconscious playing out every day, whether you like it or not, whether you're aware of it or not, it's playing out? Or bringing it into the conscious where you can go, okay, it's time to heal this shit. It's time to, embrace our emotions, embrace our feelings, and go, you know what? I can do this. I can, our feelings and emotions are really powerful. So by the time we work through all that stuff, build on your emotional intelligence, right? You're going to be a force to reckon with in your cronehood. And this is what I want these women to be standing more in their power, clearing the shit out, owning their cronehood. We need to bring back those elders. We need to bring back those wise women. I know as a young girl, and especially as a mother, not having my mum around and struggling, there wasn't those elders around, to help out, to ask those questions and all that kind of stuff. So it's bringing back that support system, but bringing back that elder, that wisdom and that knowledge back there. But it first starts with us going through this and doing the work. So, it's easier for our daughters, it's easier for our sons, it's easier for our granddaughters and all that kind of stuff. And the more we get comfortable and know about ourselves, about perimenopause and all that kind of stuff, the more we can help the younger generation so they can become more aware of it and more stand in their power. Like you look at periods weren't talked about. I remember my mum talking to me about periods and not being told about it or discussed. I went to school and learnt about it. I mean, I did off my parents, but I also learned about it at school. So, but we're not taught about perimenopause. So where are you with your perimenopause? So, okay. So thank you. Let me know below or on our website, how did this resonate for you? What came up for you? And again, if you feel like this could benefit or help somebody, give them that bit of insight, please do share. All right. Thank you. Bye.